Hello, all viewers. Just doing a quick mic check. LICHESS tournament joining error that we have solved, and this is for all the players who find joining the team battle difficult due to the error that they see on the mobile LICHESS app. So you can watch this video and also share with your friends who can then join the LICHESS battle without any issues. We still have about 6 minutes and 14 seconds to start the live broadcast. So, meanwhile, if you have any questions, you can ask in the comment section. So still 1 minute and 55 seconds remaining on the clock for the tournament to start, and we got actually a message from the previous owner of the Nagpur Chess Warriors that the team was hacked. Somebody had hacked his account and messed up with the team, so not to add that team, and hence we have not added Nagpur Chess Warriors in the team battle yesterday and today as well. We would be happy to have them back because they are one of the strongest teams we have on the leeches right now. So let me just try to join and play a couple of games now. I'm just wondering that there are no more players from Khelo India right now. Probably they'll join in some time, but let me just play a couple of games until we have two more entries. Okay, so we got the first request from in the comment section. Vishal, I can see your comment. Vishal Jaswar to analyze Mr. Brain Crusher's game. Okay, so we'll try to analyze that game, and we have got the first game here. Let's try to play this game against Shatranjay from Prague Future James Chess Club. So this is he seems to be offline. Let's try to wait for a few seconds. If he comes back, yeah, he's online now. So I probably will play his first move, and let's try to play the Catalan, my favorite, one of the favorite openings. So just this is just a non-adventurous opening to not give any advantage to our opponent and not give away the advantage as well. You have to play silently and calmly here just to make sure that you get some attack in the later part of the middle game. Okay, so Brain Crusher is Mr. Pratik. Okay, so Pratik is very good old friend of ours. So pawn a3 is a not so clear move here. How and why I'm playing this pawn to a3? This is because I have to play b4 and b5 and try to attack on this weak pawn here on c6. So that's my plan right now. I think a6 is going to be played now. Rook to e8. That seems okay. Let us play b4, b5. Pawn to c5, and that's strange actually. This is not seen much. This kind of pawn takes is okay, but I think first I need to pin this knight so that knight takes d5 is available on the next move. If pawn takes, then I can just capture the pawn on d5. There was problem with this pawn takes because then knight takes e4, knight e4 will come very strong. This bishop will be pinning the knight, and this knight from e4 can try to attack this c3 square as much as possible. So just to avoid opening up this file, this diagonal right away, just try to get the pieces in the better position, then try to play the game. Yeah, so queen to b6 has been played here. Mm. I think we can still, okay, knight e5 is actually losing a pawn straight away. Let's play e3 first, not try to open up this diagonal for this bishop. Let's try to play simple here. So pawn c4 has been played, trying to locking up the pawn on the center now. But d5 I think can be a, it can be a nice target later in the game. So bishop now comes back to f4. I think the grip is good on this game. Knight e5 is now coming very soon, putting more pressure on this d5 square. Pawn to g5, and I think I can play bishop to e5. Knight takes e5 is now expected. Knight takes, and then this d5 is hanging, so bishop e6 will be played. And then I think I have a move like f4 here. Yeah, we'll still have to check that if that's feasible. Okay, bishop to queen to e6 has been played now, just trying to support the d5 pawn. Let's play rook e1. Sometime in the game, probably e4 is available to us, so we can try to play that move. Not right now, because the bishop has been attacked, the knight has been attacked, and knight takes will be answered by probably pawn takes first, pawn takes, and then let's try to capture the knight. I think pawn takes knight will be played first, and bishop takes g7 will be answered by pawn takes f3, and then we have bishop takes f3, king takes f3. I might end up being a piece down, so I have to play this move first. Interesting. So this is something that I was not expecting right away. The bishop is not actually trapped, but it's in quite a difficult position right now because it might get trapped soon unless this bishop a4 and this is not available to us. So let's try to bring it back. I think f4 is something which can be expected, but knight takes e4 is the answer to that. Now this bishop is better here, just a narrow escape for the bishop. And let's try to put some pressure on the hanging pawn there on c4. Bishop moves, and then probably we can just put the rook in the open file now. I still have 1 minute remaining on my clock, and I have to be quick now. I cannot just relax. Now there are three attackers on this pawn. One, two, and three. We can play rook c3, and we can bring the rook to the c1 square. Should we try f3 here? That's the question actually. Should we try to play f3, pawn f3, and go for a break? So bishop has gone back to the fa, trying to play bishop b4 here. I think bishop e3 is still possible. Bishop e3, rook c2 can be played, or even rook a1 can be played in that case, attacking the bishop on a3 and sending it back. Bishop d6 is played here, so I think we can play pawn to f3. Pawn takes, and now knight takes. Knight to f6, and we can just put the knight back on d2. So e4 is something that is very critical. We have to make sure that the e4 we have the maximum control over the e4 square. So we have a request from Ishan to analyze this game. Yes, Ishan, we will do analysis for you as well. So bishop takes g2 has been played, king takes g2, and knight to g4 are trying to attack this e3 pawn. I have to defend it thrice now. It has been attacked thrice. Queen check, we can just put the queen in between, and this king takes queen is now available. f5 pawn can be hanging if the queen is not supporting it any longer. So it has been exchanged. Let us exchange with the king now. Let us capture with the king, and we can support the e3 pawn as well now. So rook to e4. Let's put the knight. Okay, we cannot put knight here. So first we have to kick this knight away, and now we can play knight to d2. check there for the king, and first we can capture, but then the knight can come back to the g4 square. So let's take the king to the g2, and if captures, then we can capture with the king here. Rook goes back, and now I think we can play. No, we can't, still cannot play this. So still a difficult position. Let's play bishop to b2 here. I think we are allowing bishop b4 after this. So it's a close game, guys. Both players under time pressure, and knight moves to. Let's play knight to f1. Support both these two pawns with the knight. Now the rook is free to move, and now we can just push the pawn. Oh, I think that's a blunder. I'm allowing bishop b4 here. I should have played rook c2. Now bishop 2 should go to c3 and come back to e1 now. Knight's a tricky piece here. Yeah, knight c2. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's a tricky piece out there, but I can attack both these pieces at the same time, and I can capture the rook now. And oh, I missed this one. That's a blunder from my side, guys. Okay, I think I'm losing this one now. Yeah, let's try to resign and get back to tournament. Let's pause the tournament actually, and let's try to first see the game from the Brain Crusher, Mr. Brain Crusher. That is the first request. Okay, I cannot find anyone with this ID. I hope that's correct, Mr. Vishal. Yep, no IDs there. So we have next request is from Ishan 102. So let's try to get Ishan's game. So if you're listening, Vishal, just let me know what is the exact ID of Pratik. What's the exact ID of Mr. Pratik? So D4 was played in the opening. This is the game between Andre from Gujarat Lions and we have Ishan from Team Future. So D4, Knight F6, C4, C5. This is the modern Benoni, guys. All those who want to learn opening from black side against the D4, this is something that you can try. It's pawn to E3, pawn takes, pawn to D6, knight to F3, pawn to G6, bishop to E2, bishop to G7, knight to C3, castles, and knight to C6, pawn to D5, knight to E5, knight takes E5, D takes E5, and bishop to G5, pawn to A6, pawn to H3, pawn to E4, bishop takes F6, and knight takes E4. So that loses a pawn on E4, but black has this bishop takes B2 pawn available right now. So bishop takes B2 was played, rook to B1, bishop goes back to G7. And these are the positions wherein white has to be very careful about these two pawns because they are like two pawns lost in a storm, which you have to protect because once this rook start coming to these open files, these pawns are going to be the targets for black. Black doesn't have to work much right now, but he has to make sure that all his pieces are concentrated towards these two pawns to get the majority of the attack. So if you find your opponent with such pawns caught in the storm, you can try to attack them as much as possible. So we have bishop to g4, bishop takes g4, queen takes g4, and black would be actually happy here. Was this pawn f5 available? I think pawn f5 was available, and then there could have been a fork to both the knight and the queen, and yeah, black would have won easily this one. So Ishan, your opponent probably Andre missed this move f5, and then queen c7 was played, queen to g3, queen takes g3, pawn takes g3, and bishop d4 check, king h2, bishop to e5. Rook takes b7, rook to b8, rook takes e7. So this actually you should have taken care of, because you had an extra move here, so you could have played a move like rook b8, or probably the worst move, one of the worst move, rook to a7. That is not recommended, but you should have tried to save at least this pawn, or at least attacked the c4 pawn here by rook c8. So in case of rook takes b7, you can play rook takes c4. So if rook c8, white can play rook to c1, then you can play rook c7, supporting this pawn as well as attacking this pawn, then putting the next rook on c8 and continuing your attack on this c4 square. Anyway, so bishop d4 check was given here, and king h2 and bishop e5. So bishop e5, I think it's a waste of move. It's not going to help you. Help Andre. Rook takes b7, rook b8, rook takes e7, rook to b2, a free piece here. I think that's a double blunder now from black side. Also allowing rook takes f7, and bishop to d4, knight to f6 check, bishop takes f6, rook takes f6, and rook takes a2, rook to f7, and rook to b8. So rook check, rook to rook king to f8, rook to f7 check, king to e8, and now rook check on g8, king takes f7, rook takes b8, and rook to c2 now. Even now, actually, I think white should try to preserve these connected passes by playing rook here, putting the rook on a file, probably attacking this pawn, and if king reaches here, then you can just capture the pawn and then go back and try to attack the other pawns over here. Meanwhile, you can play g4, king g3, king h4, and try to just enter your king from this route. So rook to e8 was played, rook takes c4, rook takes a6, rook to d5, pawn to e6, king g1. Now here there is a common mistake actually. Rook can count the number of moves, 1, 2, and then 3. So it takes 3 moves to get to the g3 square, while if you play g4, it just takes 2 moves. So you have to calculate this king moves before you start your king march actually. Okay, so black won this one, but we have to check the end game. Okay, so this is where we were, and now king g1 was played, rook takes king to f2, and there was a long, even here actually, I think white should not have given away this. So in this position, actually, you should take opposition here. You should be in front of the opponent's king here, not allow this king to come to the better squares and win. So uh, that's a just suggestion for you, Mr. Ishan. You have to learn the king and pawn endings as much as possible, because these are basics of king and pawn endings. You should take the opposition whenever possible and not to give it away to your opponent. And then later on, I think white lost the game by playing not the best moves here. King takes, yeah, and then the pawns were lost. Yep. Again, this is a draw. I'm not sure how the black won this one. This should have been a draw actually. Okay, let's go back to tournament. Check the next game. Do we have any more games? Any more requests here? If you just give me the complete ID, Mr. Brain Crusher, I'm not able to search here. If you just type MR, I cannot see anything, any ID coming up. So I'm not sure what's the ID which you are requesting to be. Uh, we have to check the game for. Okay, so just a request to all the. Okay, let's pick up the next game here. Let's pick up the game between Sony Atharva and Shatranjay. So game has just begun. Sony Atharva is playing from white side and Shatranjay is playing from black side. So d4, I think Sony Atharva just like this f4 move here. And yeah, that's what he plays frequently in the game. I saw a few of his games, and that's actually a nice setup. This setup of d4, e3, and f4. It gives you some chances. The problem is of this bishop. It can be considered as a reverse Stonewall here. Stonewall is or reverse Dutch defense, you can say. So this problem of this bishop has to be solved. It can be via b3, bishop a6, a3, or bishop a2 to d2, go to e1 and then go to h4 and try to exchange here on f6. But this problem has to be solved. This dark square bishop. If you are able to play e4 in the game, if you are lucky to get play e4, then this bishop can have good scope here. But yeah, this is the attack that white generally does on the king side. If black survives this one, then white's king will be in a difficult position. It will be exposed very much. Pawn to e6, and now pawn to g5 is probably, or even, yeah, pawn to g5 has been played. Knight can now go to h5. A nice defending square for this knight from knight d6 and knight f5. So pawn h5 has been played. So white is going for the full-fledged attack on this king side. I think black should be able to survive this one. f6 I think is also a relieving move for black here. Pawn takes has been played. Probably he is planning to play king g2, rook h1, and then queen to h3. Try to attack in this open file. So all the viewers out there, just let me know if you have any questions in the comment section. So pawn takes has been played. Which pawn will black capture back with? F or H? If it captures with the F, then the pawn chain is maintained, but still I think this H file is going to be the a question mark move. So if he captures with the H pawn, then probably queen e8 and then f6 can be played in the game, that so that this queen can attack this e3 pawn, as well as this knight can be attacked with the f6 pawn as well. Yeah, queen e8 has been played. I think f6 is something that now black can plan here. Queen h3, rook h1. Yeah, f6 has been played. This knight is under attack. Pawn takes, and now this knight will come into the game. It will defend all this critical squares here. G6 pawn is now attacked. That is the idea behind queen g3, to put the pressure on the g6 pawn. So white is playing nicely here, but as I said, that if the pieces get exchanged now, it would be difficult for white to survive, because this bishop and this rook are still way behind in the development. So if knight takes, pawn takes, queen takes, and then we have what can we have? Queen takes e3 is there. Yeah, this pawn is hanging now on e3. I think this is a mistake from white side. White should have paid attention to his e3 pawn. And now knight f3, and now I think queen can go back to e7, and queen d3. From d3 it is supporting the g6 pawn, and it's also restraining this bishop from coming to e3. So I think rook f7 is now forced, and now knight g5. The rook will be doubled to f8. Queen f5, allowing this queen exchange. I think queen takes rook. Yeah, I think that's simple winning for black. For white now, I think f5 can be played now. Bishop e3, and that's exchange up for white actually. A nice game actually. This a fight between both the players, and finally black had to give away the rook, the exchange, for surviving the time pressure. Now the king has to be on e3 here. Yep, the king march has started. King should be on e3 to defend both the f4 and d4 pawns. Yeah, I think rook to e5 is something that white is planning now, and to attack this pawn. Yep, pawn is defended, and I think now rook can be swinged to the e1 square. Yeah, first rook to d2, not allowing this rook to be on the 7th rank here. So I think rook can be doubled now, and if rook check, then we can simply play king to g2. Rook can go back to h4, or rook d4 is oh, the piece is gone, and this is winning for white now. So very nice game by Sonia Tharpa. You can learn the attacking skills from this player. He's a very nice player, Sonia Tharpa. So this is a fantastic game wherein d4, e3, and so d4, e3, and f4 is played, and then there is a full-fledged attack on black's king side. So this is something to learn from. Let's go back to a tournament now and check the next game. Let us just quickly check if we have any request. Ishan has requested. Okay, so Ishan, we have analyzed your game. Okay, and any more requests? If anyone has, just let me know in the comment section. Okay, let's pick up one of the top games now. Let's check who is leading from the. So Ganges from Gujarat is leading right now with 16 points. So let's try to pick up one game from. Uh, let's try to pick up a game from here between Vadav and Unusual here. Vadav I think is from Gujarat Lions from Russia, and Unusual is from Prayag Raj Future GM's Chess Club. Okay, so there is a comment. So Prathamesh is saying, hi Prathamesh, hope you are doing well. Good to see you on the chat. And then we have Paimon Pai, sir, analyzes never mistake. Okay, so never mistakes. I have to analyze the game. That is the ID. Okay, Paimon Pai, I'll check that game after this game. Check your game after this game. So e4 c6, the Karo Khan defense. Knight f3 d5, knight c3, pawn takes e4, knight takes e4, knight f6. Exchange variation f6, knight takes f6, and g takes f6, bishop to c4, bishop to g4, and pawn to e5. So there is one of the traps here actually. This is a beautiful position actually, wherein you can play knight to e5, and if bishop takes queen, then there is a check and mate on f7. So you can try this trap sometimes in the bullet and blitz game. So knight e5 is generally answered by taking the bishop back to e6, and if f takes e6, f takes e6, we have queen h5 check and mate. So